Welcome, everyone. This is Kev'aun J'oanz, Ethereal of the Ormuz Sept, and I would like to welcome you all to the Kev'aun J'oanz show. Please note that I am not licensed to treat human beings, and this show is not a substitute for mental health services. This show is designed for people to discuss their problems, and I will give my thoughts on the issue, on their situation, and perhaps suggest some things to think about when it comes to addressing those issues, or what I would be thinking about if I was in their situation. Now, if you would like to call into the Kev'aun J'oanz show, we would be happy to take your call live on the air. We just ask that you make a small donation to the Voxcast in order to keep the lights on here in the studio. I would also keep an eye on the Vox stream for questions and suggestions from people who might not be able to pay, or they just want to participate, and I'll do my best to respond to those questions. But my priority will be to those who donate and call in. So at the moment, we have 9 people listening in. We have Old Man Skeletal, welcome. We have Attrition. Apparently on Attrition's planet, it is morning. On my planet, it's a bit of a pleasant afternoon. Been very quiet, which I think it can be very pleasant. Steel Legion Kane is here. I do hope that you are not intending to invade my studio this time. We have someone asking for pizza. You do not. We don't sell pizza on this Voxcast. You're likely looking for Imperial Pizza, and they promise to deliver a pizza anywhere within the galaxy within 10 standard Terran years, or your money back. They do require that you order by the ton. We have gotten a minor sponsorship from Imperial Pizza, but it is mostly in order to redirect people who've been calling in and thinking that this is a pizza place and ordering different foodstuffs. Operation Boxtrot is here, so is EO. Disturbed Renegade, dear Mr. Nice Blue Xenos Man, I've finally gotten revenge of my planetary governor for horrible work conditions and the unjust death of my wife. I am now in space looking for your empire. Well, we are certainly happy to have you. Thank you for the donation to Miles O'Halloran. If you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like, I can still take your call on the air, Miles O'Halloran, but if you just wanted to donate, I certainly thank you for your support. Okay, so let's get to the actual theme of this show. I certainly am willing to take other questions or things that are off topic. People's problems are wide and varied, but the discussion topic was essentially mental health or demons. Is a given situation a mental health problem, or are we talking about malevolent forces that mean to do very serious harm to you and those that you love? And I think there's been a very big problem in the Imperium with diagnosing these issues. There's a lack of education among the citizenry. Even high-ranking members of Imperial society often can't discriminate or discern rather between even the most minor and normal hiccups of the human mind and things that are maybe a bit more serious and might require some actual counseling or possible medication, and then separating that again from a malevolent force attempting to invade your mind and transform your body into a nightmarish gate from which every horror that any sentient being has ever imagined would then come pouring out of your ruined body. Of course, condemning your entire planet to an eternity of incomprehensible misery. So I understand why the Imperium is very, very much overly cautious about this, but because they're bad at diagnosing and separating mental health issues from issues involving possible demonic incursions, a lot of people end up being horribly, horribly mistreated. And I think the best option is frequently that people are executed. Much more terrible things can happen to those suspected of either being possessed or being tempted by demonic entities. So we're going to talk about a couple different categories of. We're going to start with the most mundane and then start ramping up to the more serious. The first thing that I think people start to be worried about are so-called intrusive thoughts. These are thoughts that human beings will suddenly find themselves thinking. And these can be anything from just a nonsense sort of impulse. They can be violent thoughts. You can have a sudden impulse to want to strike someone. This is something that we of the Tau Empire have observed in our Guela. Even ones that are very healthy will sometimes just have an impulse to, they'll just have a thought. I should punch this person. I should break this thing. I should hurt myself. I should hurt someone else. And these are essentially, if you were to compare the human brain to like a computer system, these are just errors in the code. Your brain is misfiring, or your neurotransmitter is firing. Information is being sent to your brain that is just junk. It's nonsense. Just a hiccup in the system, and these are absolutely nothing to worry about. Basically, every human being at some point or another has a thought or an impulse that they can't control. Let's see, anybody got any thoughts so far? No, this isn't Xenos Pizza. The Scrap Gang appears to be here. We got some more people. We're up to 15, so that's not bad. Raven Guard is apparently threatening my Sept. I'd rather they didn't do that. People talking about demonic summonings. No, I'm not offering chems. I'm offering advice. This show is absolutely not. I am not able to prescribe you anything. If anyone tells you that they can prescribe you chems through a Voxcast show, that person is not an ethical person. They're probably not a mental health professional, and I am not trying to function as a mental health professional. I am not licensed to treat human beings, but this is more of a place to start thinking about it. Remember, if a demon tries to possess you, just say no. Demons can't turn you into a flesh slave if you say no to them. That's part of it. We'll get into that when we get to actual demonic issues and what you want to watch out for that. Because when you get into more serious mental health issues, that's where it begins to get a little odd. So, step one, having intrusive thoughts, which is probably these are the most mundane. in response to these kind of things, you want to recognize them for what they are. They're just thoughts that, for whatever reason, your brain has compiled, and you just have a brief impulse. You might occasionally have trouble, kind of like they might repeat for a while. Just realize that that's what they are. They're intrusive thoughts. Let them play out, and they will eventually pass, if that's all they are. So give yourself some time for them to fade away. Don't dwell on them. And you can also just, if it's a thing that happens more often in you, some humans just have more unwanted thoughts. Just be prepared that they're a thing that can happen. The worst thing it could the things that are not going to be useful, don't engage with the random thoughts. Don't worry about why you're having them in the first place. Don't think that there's something necessarily wrong with you. There could be something that is a deeper issue. But if you're just having occasional intrusive thoughts, everyone has them, and they're not, or at least every human has them. They're not unusual. You just don't act on them. Let them pass. Know what they are. Know that they're not anything serious. Don't look for meaning behind them. The other thing is, don't try to suppress them. Don't try to make yourself not have these thoughts, because you then fixate on them, and then they can happen more. Like, you don't want to latch on to these. You don't want to give them more meaning than they have, which is that they're not important. Now, intrusive thoughts can be a part of something else. Let's see. Still no one with questions so far, but that's good. So there are a couple different mental disorders that have this sort of unwanted, repetitive, just can't get yourself. It'll be much more serious. One of them is obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. There are a lot of instances where a much more intense, much more repetitive, much more insistent, invasive thoughts occur, where it's just this: I have to count, I have to be clean, I have to do this thing, I have to perform this action, and that's a much more like intense need to do that. And they're just like, they're random actions. They might be associated with some sort of things, but that's a different sort of situation, and frequently you're going to have to seek treatment for if you have that sort of thing. So if you are having intrusive thoughts, and they're repetitive and they're intense, and it is difficult for you to not act on them, that might be an issue. That might be that would be, if you suspect that might be what's going on, I would see someone about that. The other thing, you can also have repetitive negative thoughts if you are experiencing depression. When it comes to depression, you can frequently have negative thoughts about yourself. Like, that will become more common. So I'm worthless. I'm no good. I am a stupid person that no one could ever love. That can often be associated with depression, and it's very easy in a depressed state to indulge those kind of thoughts. But if you the thing about intrusive thoughts is they will pass, even if you're in a depressive state. If you don't engage with them, if you recognize them for what they are, if you can say to yourself, this is happening, these are intrusive thoughts, they're not really my thoughts, and they are related to my depression, that gives you a little bit more of the control over it, rather than letting these ideas having control of you. The lamenters lament. I do have heard quite a bit about the lamenters. suffering quite a bit from depression. I don't know if probably Space Marines can experience anxiety, but a lot of their mental control sort of things have reduced anxiety responses to stressful situations, um, which is one of the which is an instance where if a Space Marine does experience some sort of anxiety or stress or profound emotional feeling, they're often not well equipped to handle it because they don't usually feel these sort of things. We have someone calling in saying, talking to Xenos is heretic, not killing Xenos is heretic. Do not let the Xenos live. To all heroes, kill the Xenos now. Call the Imperial Inquisition now. I think if you look at this particular caller, you can see the negative consequences of kind of blindly adhering to this sort of orthodox position, because he has to believe in these truths in order for his worldview to be maintained. He has to believe that the Xenos is bad, that I have to be killed, that you must destroy these things, or else then there can't be any exception, there can't be any cooperation, because in his mind, this orthodox way of thinking is necessary for his survival. He has to believe all of these things for his galactic view to be maintained. And the thing is, he's experiencing cognitive dissonance because he's experienced things that contradict this outlook. That's why he's so angry. So what you want to try to do is don't allow yourself to have some a lack of surety. This galaxy is not a stable place, and I understand why holding to outdated, superstitious, unflinching beliefs is comforting, but you can see the distress that poor Jack Maloon is experiencing because he is seeing me, a Xenos, speak to you in a way that is just beneficial to you. I do, full disclosure, yes, I would like more humans to join the Tau Empire. I think that a spirit of cooperation and peace is going to be beneficial to this galaxy. So I do have that motivation. But if you don't join the Tau Empire, I still would rather you be a healthy, fulfilled individual who is not screaming at me. All right, we have Opusa, who has the question, who invented hamburgers? I have done some research. Oh, you want to be taken live on the air to ask this question? Okay, go right ahead. Yeah, Xenos, who invented hamburgers? Aha. Well, I assumed it was someone in the city of Hamburg, as it what used to be the Hamburg steak. But I can't say that I know who was the human who invented it. I assume they were human. All right, we have another call coming in. This one from Nick Fulton. Go ahead. Yeah, can I get 5 pints of ice cream and a pound of chocolate? The meat suit I'm controlling is sad. Okay, I'm not sure if this is a demon that is called in, or if this is some sort of parasitic being. I don't know if the Tyranids have something like this, but I'm sure there's some local flora and fauna that would do this. No, I don't have any ice cream, nor do I have a pound of chocolate. And I would also warn you that you're probably causing your host you might cause them distress because eating your problems is not a long-term solution. It is kind of an unhealthy coping mechanism. Ice cream is, there are things that are good, but indulging too much or using that as kind of a crutch is not going to provide like long-term physical or mental health to your host. Also, please don't possess sentient beings. Okay. So how does your sept deal with psychers? Okay. I'm going to speak a little bit more on this topic when I get to Demonic Incursion. But the long and short of it is we are not dealing with psychers very well. The first steps we're taking are separating out humans who are having mental problems versus humans that are being assaulted or under threat of demonic possession or manipulation. Because we don't have a strong psychic presence, like this town do not have psychers, we are kind of reliant on psychers that have fled the Imperium and modifying Imperial protocols in order to better safeguard the psychers that come to be part of the Empire. So there are psychic hoods, there are different devices that are made in the Imperium that help protect psychers. Oftentimes, religious symbols or religious faith provides a measure of protection, and so it is a very difficult process because of the danger involved. But we are sort of trying to learn from the Imperial system and also implement positive changes that you're not just taking psychers, putting them on a black ship with essentially beings that humans that cause immense psychological damage just to be in their presence. But we're working. It's not great right now, but we're doing our best to kind of assemble a system. All right, we have Pseudonym calling in. Go ahead. Thank you for helping the Galaxy's trailer trash, Xeno Dr. Phil. I don't know who this Dr. Phil is, but nor am I familiar with the expression trailer trash. We're being threatened. Lucius the Eternal would like to know your location. He brings friends. Well, hopefully, with all the people trying to destroy me, I'll be able to sort of act the way the Tau Empire does and be the least threatening out of all these different forces that want to kill me. And hopefully, the Raven Guard and the Emperor's Children and all these different hostile forces will sort of sort themselves out before they actually get to a point where they're assaulting my sept. So we'll see. All right, Opusa coming right in. Go right ahead. What importance do toilets have in Tau society? Opusa, I think this is a little off topic. I think they form the same function as they do in the Imperium, which is waste removal. So they're roughly as important as they are in human society. I don't think that's a serious question. I think you might not be asking me serious questions, Opusa. All right, now we have Rose Spark calling in. Go ahead.
Hey, can you stop sending your water boy? They are very annoying and easy to crush.
No, I'm very much in agreement that diplomacy with orcs is sort of a fruitless endeavor given their violent tendencies, and don't don't discuss things with a weapon that when the weapon's only purpose is to destroy everything. So, um, no, don't worry. We will stop sending our diplomats. I'm surprised that you're still getting them. All right, Old Man Skeletal, calling right in. So go ahead. Yeah, I'm starting to worry. My fellow Sept members might be at risk of possession. Is this unfounded concern, or am I right to suspect it? Well, possession, it's going to depend on what sort of situation you're talking about. So we're going to get into, I am going to go over some more mental disorders, but the big thing to watch out for when you are considering if someone is dealing with demonic activity is the coherency of the messages. So there are a lot of disorders that are that involve vivid hallucinations, schizophrenia, different psychotic disorders, or disorders that have psychotic features, or even just immense stress can cause psychotic episodes in humans. And a similar thing happens in Tau as well. Um, so what you want to consider is are are the messages that the person, because usually if someone's having a psychotic episode, they'll be talking to people who aren't there. They will be, and what you're looking for is coherence. Um, are the things that the voice is telling them coherent? Do they have purpose? Do they serve the purpose of a demonic entity? The biggest tell is the person uh, telling you information that they can't possibly know? Are they speaking in a language that they've never spoken before? Are they telling you things about yourself that they can't possibly, that you've never told them? That's what you want to be worried about when it comes to demonic possession, as opposed to a psychotic episode. Psychotic episodes are utterly they lack coherency. They don't make any sense. Um, they're wild, nonsensical things that are patently absurd and untrue. Demonic, uh, they might be similar, but they're not identical. Um, you want to look for purpose in things that are definitely out of the ordinary. Also, psychic phenomenon accompanying um, the episodes are also something to look out for. All right, we have Nick Fulton coming on. Go ahead.
Hello again. The meat suit is hearing voices, and not the real ones, like me. How do I help them? It's starting to get annoying having to listen to them.
Well, I would suggest that you leave this person and return to the Immaterium from whence you came, because demonic possession is very taxing on the human brain. Um, so if you've already moved into someone who has mental health problems, which probably makes them more vulnerable, um, you're going to continue to exacerbate them. So if you are having difficulty with this, I would suggest you leave that person and allow them to seek treatment. Likely their friends and family would like to do that if you haven't butchered all of them yet. Okay, we have Steel Legion King, or rather, I'm sorry, Dith Solidi. Go ahead.
I am taking one of your worlds for Corvus Corax. For the Raven Lord. Die, Zeno!
Um, well, you can deal with Lucius, that immortal fellow. You can deal with him when he shows up. My sept will defend itself, and your misguided attempts to silence my Voxcast will be answered. All right, we have Hawkins calling in. Go ahead. Yeah, I own a bar and grill in the Underhive. We're trying to make food for the orcs near us, like grot nuggets, orc steak, even squid chili fries. Thoughts? I wouldn't engage with orcs. Um, they're far too violent and dangerous because small provocations, even non-provocations, they might just be bored, can lead them to become violent. Uh, if you're in orc controlled space, like you are under orc rule, this might not be a bad idea to make yourself valuable, but it's not going to be a guarantee. Um, a moment of orky violence can spell the death of sentient individuals. All right, so I just will take this time. We have 20 people on right now. We have 7 likes for the Voxcast. If you would be so kind as to make sure you're liking the stream, that way we can reach more people in the galaxy. I would also, if you would like to join us in our on our server, you can do so right here. I'll send that link to you. So yeah, we got quite a few people calling in now. Someone saying Adrian Pius called me a heretic. How do I stop him from calling me a heretic? You can't really control other people. What you can do is you can control your response to that. And unfortunately, Adrian Pius is a prominent political talk show figure. If he's calling you a heretic, I would do what you could to get off of his radar because you're going to be getting a lot of unwanted attention. Unfortunate. I wish you luck with that. You can't make him stop, though, as far as I know. Not without some extreme measures. Okay, we have Opusa coming back. Opusa, do you have something relevant to share with us? Yeah. Have you ever seen a chaos toilet? They are not what they say they are. Don't trust a talking toilet. They bite. They bite. From what I hear, very painful. Okay, Opusa. Opusa, I'm a little concerned. I appreciate that your donation. I'm a little worried about the possibility again of our theme today of mental health or demonic possession, and this is a little concerning. If there are friends and family of Opusa who are in the room listening, I would have a conversation with him. It's possible he might be what the humans call he might be trolling me. This might not be done in sincerity, but if he is not, just check in on him, make sure he's okay. Fixating on hamburgers and chaos toilets and things like that might be a sign that there's something else going on. So give him some help if you can. Adrian Pius sells things to heretics. I've heard that. I can't speak to the truth of that. As a chaos cultist, I can say Nurgle and Slanesh toilets are the worst. They like to bite you. That makes sense. That makes sense. If you don't want to be called a heretic, stop doing heresy. See, that's the problem in the Imperium. Anyone can call anyone a heretic. It's a very easy tool to use to eliminate political opponents or to get rid of people that you don't like or to get petty revenge on someone. Because if you can accuse someone of heresy and people don't know how to examine the truth of the matter or aren't concerned about the truth of the matter or don't have the resources to properly investigate, it's often just you imprison or kill the person or condemn them to whatever horror that they might face. So there are many heretics who put pineapple on their pizza. This might become one of the most upsetting things for a lot of my listeners, but I feel like I should opine on this issue. I believe that if there are people who enjoy putting pineapple on their pizza, then they should be allowed to do so. And if you're a person who does not want pineapple on their pizza, then you should be free to order the pizza that you want and not have any uh, pineapple put on your pizza. And I think if you're a person who enjoys pineapple on your pizza and you are providing food for guests, I would say to make some effort to have options that are not pineapple pizza for people who don't like it, because it does seem to be something that is very upsetting to people. And if you don't like pineapple and uh, you have people among your party that enjoy pineapple on their pizza, then I think it's a matter of judging how many people there are. I don't think it's reasonable for one person uh, to get an entire pineapple pizza for themselves. Especially that seems to be not a reasonable thing. They can likely find an acceptable substitute without you going out of your way. But if you have two, three, four in your company who enjoy pineapple pizza, then I might think it might be polite to do so. Let's see. Xenos heretic Kev'aun J'oanz die, as opposed to the heretics that refuse the holy pineapple. So we do have people who there is a dichotomy among um, those in the Imperium. There seems to be a you have to believe in this thing, and if you don't believe in this thing, then there can be no compromise, and we must fight to the death over this. And I don't think there's a whole lot of room for compromise or understanding nuance, which I think is the cause of a lot of problems within the Imperium. That and gross corruption and negligence. I would say that's a very serious problem. Someone is saying that the Emperor is a chaos god. Um, my roommate has at least 597 kid with ramped paranoia. How can I get them help? Um, it's often difficult to get someone else help because frequently you it can be difficult to enmesh yourself in their situation. Make the resources available to his friends and family. If he's suffering from some degree of paranoia, it might be anxiety. Again, this is speculation, but I would say generally, if you want to help someone seek out mental health, I would do it gently. I wouldn't try to force them. I would. It also depends on how close you are with them. Sometimes a word from a friend can be helpful. Sometimes they need to hear it from a family member. Be delicate about it, and sometimes, unfortunately, it isn't. You're not the person to be the one to tell them this if you're not close enough to them. Sometimes you have to kind of let them figure this out for themselves. Okay, we have Nick Fulton again. Apparently, a demon who has decided he wants to call into a Tau Voxcast. Go ahead, Nick Fulton.
No, meat suit, no! You matter! Don't think bad thoughts about yourself. Besides, the floating brain you're seeing is not real. The talking teapot is real, though.
See, I think um, Nick Fulton. It's a very odd name for a demon. I think you might be able to see why you're very much exacerbating uh, the mental uh, decay of your host, because they can't even discern their own hallucinations from the reality warping effect your presence has around them. I really think that you ought to leave them be and return to the immaterium. Um, Existing in the materium is I understand is very difficult for demons without an anchor. Your existence would probably be easier if you just remained in the immaterium. Okay, we have Hawkins calling in. Um, uh, Go ahead.
Hey, get off! Get off the box!
Stop trying to order bananas. We can't afford so many bananas. I think that was an accident. We do not have any bananas. But I do hope that Hawkins, you're able to sort out that situation. It does sound like it's a bit of a challenge. Like there might be a bit of a challenge. But do we have anyone else who is? I think Nick Fulton has a pretty unusual situation in which a demon wishes well of its host. And if your host is, well, let's assume that because from what I understand, there are positive entities that exist in the warp. I have heard reports of sightings of the god of the greater good, that the psychic emanations from species that have become part of the Tau Empire have resulted in a manifestation of the god of the greater good. So it is possible that you have positive entities. The problem is, I don't think most positive entities would want to rob sentient beings of their freedom. They wouldn't, refer to them as meat suit. So we might be dealing with someone who isn't great, but might be misguided. We'll see. We'll see how that kind of figures things out. All right, we have. It looks like we have a death card calling in. Go right ahead.
Hello, Sinos. Your wish is overdue for another visit from the grandfather.
I think it might be appropriate to have a military response to that threat. We have a lot of people that are trying to invade my sept at the moment. I'm hoping that they start fighting each other and are less inclined to spread virulent disease. Okay, we have Opusa coming back in. Go ahead, Opusa. My toilet told me to tell you that you are not helping. Well, I'm doing my very best. I'm very concerned about what your situation is, Opusa, and I would suggest that you seek some form of treatment. Toilets are not normal to talk. If your toilet is in fact talking, you might be on a demon world, or maybe there's some sort of mechanicus heretic that has designed a very, very strange toilet. Regardless, I don't think I have enough information about your situation to properly help. I do apologize for not providing information that might help you with your bathroom situation. Some people are saying stop listening to the toilet. I would say that's true. If you are having delusions, essentially, if you are having these weird intrusive thoughts, or demons are talking to you, or you're having hallucinations, do not engage with these things. I think that's a pretty good universal thing. So if something is going on in your brain or in your soul, or there's a problem, even if from something that's very minor and normal to a strange impulse, all the way to very specific instructions from a demonic entity for you to do certain things, do not engage. Engaging with any of these things makes them more prominent. It makes them more real. Essentially, what we're talking about with all of these things is these are things that are not real. Ultimately, demons are not real. They are echoes of emotion. They are immaterial things. So if you are engaging with them, you are a real thing. And by engaging with these things, you are giving them more concreticity. They're becoming more concrete. So don't acknowledge what it is. Don't try to repress it, because you fighting against no, I can't feel this thing. I can't think this thing. it's going to make you fixate on that more. And the same thing is going to be true of if you're dealing with a demon. The more you are trying to, like, I must resist this thing, then you are fighting the demon, you're acknowledging its existence, and you're making it more real. If you get they can't get into you unless you engage with them, so don't engage with them. If you don't engage with the voices. Opusa, coming back in. Go right ahead, Opusa. I can't get out. It's waiting, and it's no toaster. Opusa, I really hope that you're able to, whatever your situation really is, I hope you're able to, could somebody go check in on Opusa? I think we have a location for him. We'll see if we can get in contact with local authorities, and we'll see if we can get a wellness check on Opusa. Hopefully everything's going to work out for you. Just want to make sure you're all right. Just want to make sure you're all right. All right. Envoy Steelgit, go right ahead.
Greetings, Tau. I am Envoy of Deperium. We were hoping to acquire what we can negotiate and hopefully agree to. I just got no fighting.
Oh, I think the voice modulation program actually translated that into an orc voice. I didn't realize this was a human. Let me see if I can take off the modulation and get that back here. Greetings, Tau. I am an envoy of Deperium. We were hoping to inquire what we can negotiate and hopefully agree to.
I just got no fighting.
All right. Well, Deperium is a sort of unusual orcish situation. If we can negotiate some sort of peace, that would be most pleasant. If Deperium could expand elsewhere, not violate Tau space, I think it's a good first step. If they're able to hold that an agreement sort of like that, if we can both agree to a non-aggression pact, I think that's a good first step. And then if that holds, because orcs generally can't hold to something like that, if that holds, then we can talk more about normalizing relationships and maybe even something like starting up trade. Hawkins, coming in. Opusa's starting to worry us. Should I help? If you, I would say make sure he's getting in contact with whatever appropriate authority is going to be able to direct him to either mental health services or an exorcist, whatever traditional exorcist would be available on his planet. So if whoever someone can contact, that might be a wise choice for Opusa. Nick Fulton, coming right in. Go ahead. Pre-warm cup before sipping tea. Then wait 3 to 5 minutes and enjoy your proper brew. You may add cream or sugar as desired. I don't think I've ever received a call from a teapot. Nick, Nick or Fulton or Nick Fulton or Teapot or whoever this is. I really think you should return to the Immaterium. Is there a reason that you're sticking around? I know it's basically pretty painful for demons to exist in reality. They're basically doing this to kind of break down reality, if I understand their purpose. Go back to you're an echo of human emotions. Or the emotions of sentient species. I don't understand the desire to not to exist outside of the Immaterium. If you destroy reality, then you stop existing. I think that's the way it works. If there's no substance to if there's no Materium to balance out the Immaterium, neither one exists. But it might be that's the goal. Maybe everything in the Immaterium is so bad that they seek this sort of total. They intentionally or unintentionally seek kind of an end of it all, kind of nihilistic end, which I would hope wouldn't be the case. I would rather everyone kind of reach a more positive mindset and have that be reflected in the warp. A lot of people concerned about the teapot. Somebody is worshiping the teapot. Someone is calling to burn the teapot. It seems pretty standard human responses to threats. Worship the thing is scary, so worship it or destroy it. You got a suggestion that someone might treat with me. We're certainly always willing to talk. We would rather negotiate than fight if possible. Is there anyone? Let's take some calls. I've sort of talked about what to look for from mental health issues to demonic incursion issues. Is there anyone else who is currently dealing with this kind of thing? Yes, and I would like to remind everyone we do have 18 people in the Vox stream at the moment, so some more likes would be appreciated, so this can reach more people of the galaxy. Also, if you wanted to become a special member of the Kev'aun J'oanz Appreciation and Discussion Board, you can join that right here, and we can talk about our feelings. We can learn more about each other's cultures. We can grow closer, perhaps hold hands, maybe even sing the old human folk song Kumbaya. Yeah, someone is saying don't worship the teapot. That's how they get stronger. Yeah, don't. If you could help not worshiping the teapot, don't worship things that you don't want to become more powerful. See, I think this is one of the reasons. I think the deity of the greater good, a benevolent, protective sort of deity, is kind of is some evidence that positive things can exist in the warp. And I think if we can all sort of become of one accord as to what goodness is, then we can start putting more positive emotions into the warp, and we can start to see that kind of landscape change. The big problem is that warp entities, as the warp exists right now, want to perpetuate themselves. So demons of suffering want more suffering. Demons of corn, blood, skulls, they want more of that. And those kind of violent emotions will feed into that. So by waging this sort of never-ending war, the Imperium and pretty much all sentient beings, as they fight against the forces of the Immaterium, are perpetuating the negative aspects of the Immaterium. And what I think would be the best kind of outcome would be figuring out ways to no longer engage with these kind of entities, to figure out how to acknowledge them. They're like invasive thoughts. Acknowledge that they exist, see them for what they are, don't engage with them further. And of course, if you have serious, then it's just like if you have depression or anxiety, or even if you get more extreme into like a psychotic disorder, you have to then treat it. But you don't want to feed it more than you need to. Hand holding the Tao is lewd. Okay. T for the tea god. The teapot is just a mechanical device. Teapot. Do you want to talk with my Primarch? Oh, my word. I don't think any Primarch has spoken with a Tau. So, if he's willing to treat with me, I am certainly willing to receive him under a flag of truce, of course. All right, we have Opusa coming back in, calling an awful lot. Hey, this is totally human me and no talking toilet. Don't need no help here. Ate the ate the lunch. The thing that people eat. All is fine. Thanks. I still would. I'm still expressing my concern about Opusa here. So if anyone out there can check in on Opusa, I think that would be good. I would also recommend taking steps to keep yourself safe in case Opusa is in a dangerous situation or that there might be an entity creating a dangerous situation there. All right, Nick Fulton calling back in. Go ahead. This unit has not been serviced in 40,000 years. Okay, I think this is the first time I've ever gotten calls from teapots. All right, we now have Envoy Steelgit. Looks like we have a Huey coming in. Go ahead.
By the Emperor! Chaos forces in frontier Tau space!
Oh, that's not good. Not good. All right, we will do what we can to. We have a lot of threats coming in, and I'm hoping that we can treat with some of the forces who are willing to set aside our differences, defeat this common foe. We certainly don't want these negative chaos emanations to spread. That's really going to be a problem. All right, we have Hawkins calling in. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sending a group to attack Opusa's toilet. Do be careful. You just don't want don't do anything that's going to kind of feed into that entity's power. So my recommendation is make sure you've used the restroom before going to encounter this being. Okay, just be careful. Please do well. Do we send in calls for advice and wellness? I would do that to your authorities. Also, be careful for wellness checks, because depending on the facilities of the area, getting someone to be hospitalized could end up very much exacerbating their situation. Because if someone's in a traumatic sort of state, being committed, being sent to a hospital, sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's they either have to go through this or they're, they might be in a very serious crisis. But if you are seriously concerned about the danger to the individual, then yes, a wellness check is not a bad idea. Especially because I think a wellness check is not too invasive in most of the planets that they're on, but sometimes they are. That's gonna involve discernment on your part. Mm-hmm. Looks like I'm wondering if there's any Voxcast that doesn't end in violence in this galaxy. It does seem that seems to be everyone's response is to reply with violence. Maybe that's the only. Why that's the only thing that seems to be immediately effective. Which is unfortunate. I think it's quite unfortunate. Okay, what do we got? We got people fighting a teapot, people fighting the chaos invasion of my sept, or fighting for the chaos invasion of my sept. That's it appears that Depurium is fighting. But we'll see. Like if we have if we're able to get along, then I don't see why such an arrangement couldn't continue. So we will see. All right, we have Opusa Calling in. Go ahead, Opusa. Bring some pizza beer. Bring pizza beer because the toilet is totally gone. Everyone who's going to help Opusa, do keep your eyes open. I am not entirely certain that this is a sane person who is in complete control of their faculties and is not under the influence of some other entity. Just take care. Take care, everyone. Now, we've been going on for a little while. We're approaching an hour. Doing better. We have 21 people, 18 likes. If you haven't yet liked the Vox stream, please do so. If you would like to join me in discussions as part of the Kev'aun J'oanz Friends and Family, you can join me here. I'll go ahead and put that back up again. That link is right there. We have another call from Hawkins. Go ahead, Hawkins. Hey, yeah, so toilet's gone. It ate some chili. And yeah. Okay, that's really good to hear, Hawkins. I'm glad the situation is remedied, and I'm glad to hear that you are safe. All right, up to 22 likes. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Quite good. Got quite a bit of support as well. Looks death to the Xenos Blight. Deploy the fire the artillery. Well, I hope. Well, it always is confusing as to whether someone is referring to me, but I think this person means hostility towards my sept. So do giant spectral rats count as demons? Yes, I would say so. If it's a warp entity, it is a demon. I did say we killed. Oh, didn't say we killed it. Oh, you didn't. Oh, it left. Okay. All right. Apparently, Steel Legion Kane is telling me that the Primarch of the Raven Guard, which I believe is Corvus Corax, has agreed to meet with me. Shadow Captain, all Fury squads report. Melta bomb successfully planted. Calling for speeder extract all groups. Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. If those were military communications, I probably should not have said that out loud. Unless that is against my people. In which case, someone keep an eye on that. I'm not sure who's fighting who at this point. No, giant rats are good. I'm not sure about that. We're in space. Well, that Hume ain't really smart, ain't he? All right, it appears that there is some very confusing combat taking place. And we've addressed a fair number of people with some issues. I'm certainly willing to take any other questions people have, but I think I have made a pretty good point of making sure you are separating. Oh, here we are. We have Nick Fulton calling in. Go right ahead.
I took limited control of Meat Suit to enjoy tea without hearing billions of voices screaming. And stop trying to break Teapot.
Oh, well, I do understand that. Perhaps it might be possible for you and like-minded demons who don't want to hear billions of screaming voices to create a portion of the warp that is a little bit more quiet and peaceful and pleasant. Okay, well, it looks like we have Edward Rylands calling in. Go right ahead.
Dear Xenos, upon my world, we are trying to form a basic social service in our habitat block. We have a few properties and a few volunteers with varying areas of expertise. Everyone thinks we are a cult.
I think this is related to there's a lot of lack of trust in the Imperium, caused by a lot of things. I think you have external threats, you have internal threats. There's a lot of corruption. You also have a lot of genuine cults that are aligned with either Tyranids or chaos entities. So suspicion is a very common response because very few people in the Imperium establish organizations and mean well. So that's going to be a challenge that you're kind of going to have to face. And my recommendation is to, by reputation, see if you can get in contact with some sort of government official who is, I don't know if this is possible, if you can find one that isn't corrupt, and see if you can form a good relationship with them, and kind of use this individual kind of as your advocate within the system, so to try to protect you from persecution. And I think if you can produce positive results, namely that you have psychologically more healthy people in your habitat block, that crime can be reduced, that people can work more efficiently, there's less imprisonment, there's less cost. If things kind of, if you can convince your leaders that there is profitability in your organization, that they don't have to pay for, that you have a volunteer group that wants to provide a benefit, I think you can, with some good advocacy, convince your rulers to at least leave you alone, if not support you. It looks like we do have the Herald of Corvus Corax. Welcome. Whatever you would like to speak on, go ahead. It looks like we also have some interest from Imperial entities to help you out with this endeavor. I think that's good. Have a message from a Necron. This is the Sanfex dynasty. Please stop this fighting. Some of us are still asleep. You may recommence when we are fully awake. Yes, I wouldn't mind you all stopping fighting, even if it is just to keep the sleeping Necrons asleep. I think that would be in everyone's best interest if they did not wake up. That is useful advice, Enos. My religion still instructs me to curse your name, but thank you. It is, I have to admit, it is very understandable that a religious tenet among the Imperials is to be distrustful, because every non-human species they've interacted with has been untrustworthy. And I cannot deny that the Tau Empire has had its share of internal problems, of problems in foreign policy, of manipulation, of there have been what would be described as war crimes, atrocities committed. We have our own problems. So it is very easy for humans to kind of look at the Tau and see us as just another entity that wants to see them all wiped out. But that is something that I can tell you is absolutely not true. Is we don't want to see humanity wiped out, nor I think we want to see them as part of the greater good. I can't deny that I believe in the greater good, and I would like to see the galaxy safeguarded underneath the umbrella of the greater good. But I also recognize that there are immense threats in the galaxy right now that we cannot overlook. The difficulties between rational, sentient beings really needs to take our conflicts really need to take a backseat to the threats that are, well, they're existential threats to our very existence. So we'll see if there anything amounts to that. We'll see if the extreme nature of the conflicts that are ongoing leads to some kind of change. Okay, we have. I will give you a deal. I don't kill you, and I get to kill the traitors. I assume you're saying that you are willing to eliminate the chaos intruders, and for that I give my blessing. And I hope that this truce remains. There have been somewhat amicable relations between different species. There was some cooperation between the Eldar and the Imperium. There has been cooperation between the Tau and the Eldar, and the Tau and the Imperium. Even the Necrons and elements of the Imperium have cooperated from time to time. And I think that's going to be, but there have been betrayals even in those brief moments of cooperation. It eventually falls apart. But we can see if we can maintain some sort of a more long-term cooperative arrangement. It's a balance because I think a lot of the galaxy wants to self-govern, but the problem is that the forces arrayed against us are so powerful that we need to cooperate more than we have been, which is to say that we haven't been at all. So let's take a look. The Feyrac is angry. The Chronomancer is insane. It's seemingly one warrior who has their mind intact. Oh, I'm the seemingly one warrior who has their mind intact. I've understood that's a challenge for the Necrons, that they were I have to admit I don't know that much about the Necrons. I know that they've been asleep for a very, very long time, and that they are prone. They sort of see themselves as the true rulers of the galaxy, which everyone does. But they seem to be particularly vulnerable to different kinds of madness. So I wonder if mental health services for the Necrons would be helpful. Of course, we're talking about a species that is millions of years older than our own, and I'd have to learn all about how the Necrons work and what you do about that, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility. And it looks like we have a Raven Guard fleet that hopefully is going to assist in the defense of our Sept. Of course, my Fire Warriors will, and the Aircast, of course, the skilled pilots, they'll also be involved in the defense. And with the proper coordination, we should be able to eliminate this threat. So I do thank those of you that have selected cooperation instead of outright violence. But it is a grave danger to try to cooperate, because you risk someone betraying you at an inopportune time for their own advancement. It sort of ends up not really. It disrupts anything that we sort of had going, though. Violence is always fun, though. Certainly true for orcs. That's certainly true for orcs. Can't argue with that. All right, I think we've been going on for about an hour and 15 minutes. I think we've talked about a lot of different things. I hope that some of you had a chance to grow, learning a little bit about some very important issues, learning about the dangers of teapots, of talking toilets, of demons who may or may not be concerned about the well-being of their hosts. Someone's saying Necrons say violence is never the answer. It's the question, and the answer is yes. Well, it seems to be the general consensus of the galaxy. Oh, Edwin Marin Castro. No, I came late again. It appears you did. Do you have something desperately that you want to ask? You have not come so late that I am not here for your needs, for your questions. You could have minutes of time, entire minutes, where you can learn of the wisdom that exists within the greater good. I don't think Edwin has any more questions. All right, we have Nick Fulton calling back in.
If meat suit dies, I get sent back. So,
Yes, has some sort of vested interest in the well-being of his host. I think that's pretty unusual, given that, because I think usually what happens is a host is turned into a demon gate, becomes a grounded point for a demonic incursion. Lots and lots and lots of demons show up, and then from that incursion, the demons try to corrupt the planet and turn it into a demon planet, and sort of make it a place in between the immaterium and the materium. So this isn't, but this demon seems to be interested in staying away from other demons. Unclear. Does the greater good have a presence in the warp? Tau are not psychic. We have very, very weak psychic presences. Like, I think demons can interact with us. There have been examples of Tau falling to chaos. It's not common, but it does happen. But there has been reportedly a god of the greater good, because when we use our faster than light travel, which admittedly is not as long range as some other races, we do sort of briefly skim into the immaterium. And there was an incident where a ship was stuck, and eyewitnesses saw something that appeared to be a manifestation of the greater good as a warp entity. So I don't think we have much influence over the warp, but the different races that believe in the greater good have had an impact. Jack Maloon, no, just kill the Tau. It's the most safe thing to do. It might be, but killing us should probably be a very low priority. We're not the threat that you make us out to be. All right, we have this appears to be a servitor. Go ahead. Well, we'll see what the servitor has to say. In the before times, my cogitator was tasked to managing an industrial blast door. When the greater good came, they used a better machine to manage this function. What is my function now in the Tau? Well, it's kind of going to be. It's going to have to involve what your capacities are as a servitor. because most people who have been converted to be a servitor have been lobotomized, and their individual thoughts are sort of overridden by simple computer programmings. They're following a simple task. They're not a true AI. It also depends on how well that surgery was done. Um, I think it would depend. It would depend on what was able to salvage. If the servitor is just a not very well designed human program, it would probably just be eliminated. There's no reason to keep obsolete technology around. If there was a person, which would involve a medical examination, if the surgery was not performed well and there was still some human consciousness in there, then it would sort of the use of an individual who was unfortunate enough to exist in such a way, we would have to figure out what our options would be. I would think we would try to find a function for you. This seems to be a servitor. It would depend on what your. This has enough self-awareness to ask what its purpose is and explain itself. So, and if you have enough self-determination, we might see what your capacities are, and you might be able to choose your task within the greater good, where you might best be suited. And we could also task you with helping other servitors who have a bit more of their own personality remaining, helping them incorporate and finding purpose in the greater good as well. Yes, you could. You pass butter. You could pass butter. If that is something that you would find fulfilling, you could do a task as simple as passing butter. All right. Let's take a look. Yes, you can hack the Voxcast, and that is heresy. So you must die. All Tau must die because of you, Kev'aun J'oanz. Jack, I want you to consider that maybe you're the one who's deciding that people should die. Maybe there isn't a reason that anyone should die except that you are choosing to kill all these people. Maybe this is just a value that you have decided. That maybe my actions don't directly cause your reaction to them. I think you need to take some responsibility for your own decisions and not hide behind this orthodox behavior. Everyone has to answer for their own actions. And I think some of the worst people in the galaxy will hide behind some sort of code that says they must act in a cruel and malicious manner. So maybe consider that. So maybe instead of all Tau must die because of me, maybe it is because people like Jack Maloon want to kill us all. Maybe the responsibility lies with people who think that way. Oh, yes, I am Xenos. I am not human. But it might be. It might be that I am more worthy to live than there are amongst. I think there are a lot of really evil humans out there. I think there are some Tau that are not great either, that have their own amount of evil. Maybe if you evaluated people on the way they behaved, if you evaluated sentient beings on the way they behaved instead of just assuming that they're bad, maybe we could get a little bit more progress going in the galaxy. Maybe we could make the galaxy a safer place from all of these external threats that you cannot negotiate. We can't negotiate with the Tyranids. We can't negotiate. Well, at least I thought we can't really negotiate with the Orcs. Generally, you can't negotiate with the Orcs. You can't really negotiate with a Drukhari. Or you really shouldn't negotiate with a Drukhari. But some of us could talk, and some of us, I think, should talk. So I think that's not a bad... I don't think that's a bad place to stop. That we have a lot of problems, and what we really need to do is not create more of them for each other, and see what we can do to help each other out, to really work together. And that's hard. That's a very difficult thing because our different interests go against each other. Different empires might need different planets for certain resources. We're competing over those. There might be some sort of tragedy. There's so many different things that make a relationship difficult. But I think if we can start to work some of these things out, it'll be better in the long run with dealing with these external existential threats. Okay, I think that's going to be where we stop. I want to thank everyone who has supported this Vox stream, everyone who has donated: Edward Rylands, Nick Fulton, Opusa, Hawkins, Envoy Steelgit. Let's see, who else? It's a lot of Rose Spark as well. I'm going to see if I can just go through this whole thing. It's Steel Legion Kane donated as well, Old Man Skeletal, Pseudonym. Let's see if I can and Miles O'Halloran. So I want to thank everyone who has been able to support the Voxcast. And I hope that you all have the very best of days, and hopefully we all won't be consumed in some sort of apocalyptic nightmare world that erupts from one of our loved ones. Okay, so farewell, and good luck to all of you.